Okay, everyone, this is going to be a long-awaited video when it comes to settings. And just based on the setup that I have here at my house, I'm going to go through these settings for the Sound Lounge, and then I'm going to go through the settings for the Practitioner. You can see my Practitioner has the headphone amp and Practitioner amp stacked together. The Sound Lounge amp is the SMP300, and then the headphone amp for my Sound Lounge is here. So just to keep it really, really simple, the volume on your tablet, you always want to be at 100%. And I just use the side buttons here. It is the last thing that I do on every session that I start because Android does this thing where it likes to drop the volume down 3/4 of the way. So the last thing that I do after I push play is always make sure that the volume is all the way up. When it comes to the settings for the rest, on the headphone amplifier, you want all of these to really be the starting point is going to be 50%. This is 100%. This is all the way down to 0. And this is about 50% or 12 o'clock on the face of a clock. And this is the starting point for all of them. My wife was actually just doing the session, so she lowered the volume on the headphones a little bit. But for a starting session, I always start here. This is really where it's most comfortable for folks. This knob, phase output 1, this is going to the Sound Lounge. On the Practitioner, it will be going to the Practitioner as well. So you always want to keep that at 50%. You don't really need to touch this at all. So just start with all these at 50%. On the Sound Lounge amplifier, the phase actually means nothing. This has 0 impact on what you're doing and how you're doing it. I leave it at 50% or 12 o'clock on the face of a clock. The low pass filter, this one, it absolutely has an impact, and you'll see it, there's a white dot and a white line on it. You'll also see that it has marks on it, 65 hertz, 95 hertz, 125 hertz. Want to keep this all the way to the right. There are a couple of use cases where you want to move this one down a little bit, and that is if you're listening with speakers. Think of the low pass filter as a gate. So if I have this set to 95, then the amplifier will not send any frequencies above 95 hertz to the Sound Lounge. For the most part, you want to leave this all the way open. However, in some instances, you will hear the spoken word or voice coming through the Sound Lounge, and you can use this to pull that back 125 or 95 hertz. If you're listening with a speaker, or if there's somebody else in the room, or that sort of thing. But for the most part, you're going to keep that pinned all the way to the right. There's really no reason to touch it except to make sure that it's pinned all the way to the right. And then as for the volume, your volume control, this is the amount of vibration that you have. And I typically start with about 50% or 12 o'clock on the face of a clock. This is my starting point. Depending on atmosphere, environment, body mass, you could absolutely take this all the way to the top. When you want more vibration, this is the knob to go and make that adjustment, not output 1. This stays at 50%. Whichever one is connected to the Sound Lounge amplifier, this stays at 50%. Anything more than this, and you're going to start to get a distorted signal. As far as the Practitioner is pretty straightforward. It's going to be the same setup, 50% for all 4 of these knobs. That's the good starting point. And then on the actual amplifier itself, you're going to have power on and off. You're going to have PBTL or sub, and you're going to want that switch focused down towards sub. Think of the sub frequency the same as the low pass filter, and you're going to rotate that all the way to the right. And the volume is a little different. I tend to start with it at about 3/4 and go from there. And you can certainly make adjustments and go all the way up to the top. I find on the Practitioner, you're so much closer to the transducer. There's only 4 inches of cushion and foam. The transducer is about halfway through, so there's really only about 2 inches between the body and the transducer itself. So I find the vibration is much more intense. I like to keep it just about there. And that is the settings for your Sound Lounge and your Practitioner. I hope you have a fantastic day and enjoy your sessions.